Have you ever been in a relationship that you actually start to feel addicted to? The reason why this happens is because falling in love affects our brain a lot like our brain is affected when we become addicted to a substance. When you fall in love with someone, your brain is releasing very powerful chemicals like oxytocin, which is a bonding chemical, dopamine, which makes you feel good, endorphins, that's what we typically feel release of after we work out. So there's a lot of very strong emotions that are released within us when we start to fall in love with someone. These chemicals create a level of excitement, sometimes a feeling of obsession. You just want to be around that person as much as you can. And when researchers have studied the brain of those people who are newly in love, those chemicals and the way the brain changes is very similar to what we see in someone who is an addict. The reason why I bring this up today is because it is very relevant when we talk about how difficult breakups can be. If you've ever been through a breakup yourself, you know that it can feel like withdrawal. The longer you've been in a relationship, oftentimes the worse those withdrawal symptoms can feel, especially if you're not the one that's doing the breaking up. You might struggle with sleeping, focusing during the day, a lot of symptoms of depression, difficulty making decisions, just kind of feeling lost and little to no motivation. That is very common for somebody who is going through a breakup and is also very similar to someone who is trying to pull away from substance use. I want to normalize that aspect of a relationship ending because I do know a lot of people going through it and how difficult it can be, having gone through it myself as well. Here's one thing about this that a lot of couples don't quite understand. Those very intense honeymoon stage feelings are not actually meant to last. They fade with time as you get used to being around that person and the novelty kind of wears off. That doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It's not that you don't love that person as much or they're not doing as much for you. It's just the normalcy of when we're exposed to something repeatedly, our brain does adjust to that. So if you feel like your butterflies and that excitement in the beginning is kind of fading, don't take that as a negative. It is very normal for that to happen. It just means your love is entering into a different phase. Believe it or not, the strongest relationships are not those that stay in that honeymoon phase. They're the ones whose partners remember why they chose each other in the first place. When you continue to choose each other, even after that excitement wears off, that is when you've actually entered in the solid stage of your relationship. Of course, we all love the honeymoon stage, right? But the best relationships and the best times in your relationships often come when you stick through that phase and you still look at your partner and realize they're the one for you and you're not going anywhere. So if you are starting to notice maybe a little shift in your relationship from the sunshine and rainbows to everyday life, but you still can look at your partner and know that you love them unconditionally and you don't want them to go anywhere, you're actually in a good spot. Of course, if this is a message you feel like would be helpful for anybody that you know, as always, please feel free to share and don't forget to like and subscribe.